Wending its way through urban and suburban communities, city parks and county preserves, and the majestic canyons of downtown Chicago, the Chicago River is the 156-mile lifeblood of our community. Chicago is here because the river is here, and the Chicago area's first non-native settler, Jean-Baptiste Dusable, established a farm on its banks around 1784. Despite its bounty, the workhorse Chicago River wasn't protected. It was used, abused, dredged, straightened, and reversed. So in 1979, a local magazine declared it friendless, and its fortunes began to change.
When Friends of the Chicago River was formed, we partnered with government, with the nonprofit communities, and public and private stakeholders who all rolled up their sleeves and really invested in policy changes, landscape restoration, and water quality improvements.
Pressure on government agencies resulted in rules and regulations that control sewage, create access, promote river-friendly development, and disinfect effluent, making the water safe for people to paddle and fish. Wildlife species have grown and diversified. Dams have been removed, and the landscape is being healed through restoration efforts, which replace invasive plant species with native ones. Respected rather than neglected, the Chicago River is a major part of the region's healthy future.
We're trying to make sure the Chicago River has now become really a model for rivers not only around the United States, but around the world.
Good afternoon. My name is Margaret Frisbie, and I'm the Executive Director of Friends of the Chicago River, a nonprofit organization based in Chicago. I'm so pleased to join you for the third annual Water and Waste Management Conference. Thank you for having me. I'm here today to explore how we can improve our water resources through a multifaceted approach that incorporates purpose, public policy, people, and partnerships, and provides overlapping benefits for our river, its neighbors, and the wildlife that depends upon it. By way of introduction, the Chicago River system is a 156-mile-long waterway that flows through Chicago, the third largest city in the United States, with a population of 9.5 million people in the metropolitan area. The reaches of the river that most people are familiar with are in downtown Chicago, with its world-famous skyline and movable bridges. But the river is so much more. It is a working river with barges carrying tons of freight annually, and it is a wonderful natural resource that wends its way through leafy suburbs, forests, prairies, and wetlands, which are teeming with life. The river system is home to 75 species of fish, hundreds of species of birds, beavers, muskrats, turtles, and a host of other creatures, including the occasional river otter, which represents the returning health of the Chicago River. After decades of investment and advocacy, we have a healthier river system that is alive with activity on, in, and along the water, and people are using the river in ways no one thought imaginable only a few years ago. But not that long ago, the Chicago River was not so alive, and like so many other urban waterways, its history is rife with mistreatment. Chicago was founded in 1837 at the confluence of the Chicago River and Lake Michigan on land that was low, marshy, and sandy. In the 1850s, the city lifted itself off its swampy banks and directed a new sewer system to the river. To accommodate shipping, miles of the river was straightened and dredged, and in 1900, the Chicago River was reversed away from Lake Michigan, which is Chicago's source of drinking water. The Calumet River followed soon after in 1922, joining the systems into one. These efforts helped the Chicago area escape its pollution problems, but really just sent it downstream to the Des Plaines River, the Illinois, the Mississippi River, to the Gulf of Mexico, where we are contributing to the nutrient pollution in the dead zone today. We also had the Union Stockyards, which dumped offal in what was now known notoriously as Bubbly Creek. And for too long, industry used the river as a dumping ground as well. So in 2021, despite the progress we have made, there are still serious challenges from this legacy of pollution, and we need to continue to undo the degradation of our past while we face up to the reality of the climate crisis, a catastrophe that threatens the achievements of Friends and all our partners, putting our river and our communities at risk. To do that, Friends has developed a multidisciplinary approach, utilizing our 3 program areas: education and outreach, on-the-ground projects, and public policy and planning, which serve to drive change, engage partners, and build a vision for the river to be a blue-green corridor of connected open space that benefits people, water, and wildlife. We work through a kind of aspirational optimism and a blue-green corridor vision that changes people's views of the river at the same time we change its health and the rules that govern it. Starting decades ago, Friends has been implementing public policy and planning initiatives that lead to improvements in water quality, eliminate sewage, litter, and other pollution by utilizing the rules of the Clean Water Act and by building public support for our efforts. Some highlights include, in the year 2000, we released Waterways for Our Future with the Civic Federation and Open Lands, a national study that examined practices for sewage treatment locally and across the nation. The results established that all of the other major sewage dischargers were disinfecting their effluent before it was released into local water bodies, except for here. This report helped trigger a 5-year use attainability analysis by Illinois EPA, which recommended disinfection because the Chicago River system is an effluent-dominated stream with 70% of its water coming from sewage treatment plants. In the same year, to build awareness and public support for disinfection, we launched the Chicago River Flatwater Classic, the Chicago River's first canoe and kayak race. The Flatwater led to thousands of people paddling on the water and demonstrating that the river should and could be used for on and in the water recreation. In 2011, after a record number of hearings and recognition by US EPA that swimming in the Chicago River was an attainable use, the new recreational water quality standards were approved. And by 2016, sewage effluent disinfection technology was in place at 2 of the 3 treatment plants that discharge into the river. We are still working on number 3. Friends has a goal that we will achieve a completely sewage and litter-free Chicago River system, which led to the formation of the Litter-Free Chicago River campaign in 2017. The intent was to create a movement against litter in the river that included data collection and analysis, organized cleanups, and policies that would reduce trash in and along the water. Litter is ubiquitous in the river and causes harm to wildlife, entangling them, poisoning them, and causing starvation. Studies by our partner, Tim Holine, a professor at Loyola University, Chicago, found that 93% of fish in local rivers have some sort of plastic inside them. Starting in 2018, along with Dr. Holine, Mars Wrigley, REI, the Shed Aquarium, and Waste Management, we signed on 54 government and community partners who are working with us to make the river litter-free, have held 197 workdays, collected 246 tons of litter with the help of 5,260 volunteers, and working with Dr. Holine and his graduate students, determined that 50% of the litter is food-related and 50% are plastics. That data contributed to the development of local and state legislation, which will eliminate polystyrene use and minimize single-use plastics and to-go packaging and disposables from restaurants, initiatives that are on hold until the pandemic subsides. In 2017, we launched the Big Jump with MWRD Commissioner Josina Morita to call attention to the fact that we are not yet meeting the swimming standard approved for the Chicago River system set in 2011 and to promote access for all. The event has garnered fantastic media attention and included elected officials from every level of government and US EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers, critical partners in our work. In 2020, the event was canceled, but we hope to resurrect it in 2021, pandemic protocols allowing. Moving on to on-the-ground projects, Friends has focused on landscape scale restoration as a method for capturing stormwater across the watershed, with co-benefits of improving wildlife habitat and establishing new public access. Since 2013, Friends has cleared 190 acres for turtle nesting habitat at 5 river edge forest preserves in Cook County that were overrun with invasive trees and shrubs, which made nesting impossible. Invasive plants impact turtles particularly because they limit nesting opportunities by blocking sunlight and access to suitable soils. And because of their prevalence, predators such as raccoons are aware of the few nesting places that are left and eat both the eggs and the turtles when they emerge. By tracking turtles using temporary monitors, we were able to establish the turtles used our nesting sites in the first year after they were cleared. And nesting monitoring by the Forest Preserves of Cook County staff found that nesting success at these locations went from 0 to 60%. At the same time that the project is benefiting turtles, it is reconstructing a native plant ecosystem, providing resources for other wildlife such as birds, bees, and other pollinators, and the acres cleared now infiltrate 4.5 million gallons of stormwater for every 1 inch per 1 hour rain event. Over the past 3 years, Friends has also received grant funding to restore other forest preserve sites along the river. We have cleared 295 acres at Crooked Creek, which flows into the Calsag, Watersmeet Woods on the Middle Fork, and McCleary Springs flowing into the Calsag as well. These sites now infiltrate 7 million gallons of stormwater for every 1 inch per 1 hour rain event. And to educate the public and build awareness, Friends of the Chicago River, Friends of the Forest Preserves, and the Forest Preserves of Cook County launched the Centennial Volunteers, a place-based conservation corps. These intrepid volunteers have worked at 9 river edge forest preserves, logging over 60,000 hours since 2014. Centennial Volunteers have cleared and restored over 500 acres, seeding or allowing native plant communities to reestablish themselves. It reduces erosion and stormwater runoff, improves the habitat, and again, captures an additional 11.9 million gallons of stormwater for every 1 inch per 1 hour rain event, with more to come this year. And their work is valued so far at $1.47 million. As I have mentioned, Friends almost always includes a public component to our work. And in support of reducing sewage, litter, and stormwater pollution, in 2016, we launched Overflow Action Days. Its purpose was to build awareness of the connection we all have to our waterways, whether fortunately or unfortunately. Based on the principles of Ozone Action Days, Overflow Action Days informs and encourages our personal action to keep water out of the sewer system, reduce the chance of combined sewer overflows, and minimize stormwater runoff before, during, and after heavy rain events, or like this week with melting snow. It also serves as an advocacy tool for local government. The Overflow Action Day Toolkit includes a notification system of Overflow Action Day alerts that we send out whenever there will be a heavy rain or snow melt, an Overflow Action Day pledge, a simple guide to water conservation that outlines how much water can be saved through easy actions that can be done at home, and webinars and other programming that teaches people about best management practice, such as using native plants and disconnecting downspouts that increase the amount of water absorbed. At present, Overflow Action Days reaches over 23,000 people through our e-alerts and social media, and over 50,000 through 65 partners, including the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, who multiply the message. Finally, recognizing that the only way we can truly eliminate combined sewer overflows is to complement gray infrastructure with green. So this year we launched the Chicago River Watershed Council. Working in concert with government, planning agencies, and nonprofit partners whose missions align around stormwater management, flooding, ecological health, public health, or combinations of them all, the partners on the Watershed Council are working to define a model for coordinated regional management and identify multi-objective open space opportunities for the Chicago-Calumet River watershed. The council will engage and protect our most impacted communities and adhere to equity and environmental justice values. Together, we are working to establish a cross-jurisdictional system to develop projects and share resources using a watershed approach. Our goal is to improve water quality, protect, expand, and restore natural areas, increase access to open space, and improve regional resiliency benefiting people, water, and wildlife. We selected stormwater, which according to US EPA is the #1 cause of surface water pollution in the United States. And we chose it first because it is already regulated and funding sources are available at the state and local and national level. And second, because a nature-based holistic approach to stormwater management provides a host of co-benefits. Specifically, on a human scale, nature-based green infrastructure improves public access, creating opportunity for recreation of all kinds, places for family picnics and community events, alternative transportation options, access to funding, and access for everyone. Building upon that, studies have proven that access to nature improves public health and can boost the immune system, lower blood pressure, reduce stress, improve mood, increase ability to focus even in children with ADHD, accelerate recovery from surgery or illness, increase energy levels, improve sleep, not to mention the physical benefits from hiking, biking, fishing, and paddling, and just being outside. A study by researchers at the University of Exeter found that just 120 minutes a week in nature can have a positive physical and mental impact. So making nature easy to access and nearby can have a real and immediate impact. Another important human benefit from nature-based solutions is the direct link to environmental justice. Nature-based green infrastructure can upset the imbalance in divested communities, which are at greater risk from flooding and basement backups, are subject to more air and water pollution, and have less parks and open space. And the fact that people have a desire to live near a healthy river surrounded by native trees, birds, and flowers. In 2017, the city of Chicago, as part of the Urban River Ideas Lab, viewed by 35,000 people, found that an overwhelming 65% called for design using natural aesthetics and 63% called for a natural river edge. Ecologically speaking, using nature means greater stormwater capture. Due to their deep roots, which capture 88% of rain based on a 1 inch per hour rain event versus 28% for turf grass or 0 for pavement, that has a direct water quality benefit. There are also enormous benefits for wildlife who need food, shelter, safety from predators. We can support reproductive success, connect habitat, combat climate impacts, including saving species, especially now when we need to protect them from disaster and extinction. We know that worldwide, we are losing species at an alarming rate. It is called the sixth extinction. And finally, using nature-based solutions can help us combat and withstand the climate crisis by tempering heat as a defense against intensifying storms and diversifying landscapes, which will help wildlife thrive. This important work will complement the many excellent efforts happening within the watershed on a sub-watershed scale by layering in a holistic green stormwater infrastructure collaboration that can expand positive results by working together on broader watershed-wide initiatives. And of course, we are always asked, how are we going to pay for all of this? How do we pay for the improvements? So in 2013, we did an economic study that found investing in clean water infrastructure provides a 70% return on investment through an increase in corporate revenue, tax income, and jobs. And in 2019, we did a study of what the economic benefit would be from developing the riverfront using nature-based solutions using stormwater BMPs as the core. We found a 77% economic return on investment that would create $192 million in total economic benefits annually over a 15-year span, support over 1,614 full-time jobs annually, and improve the water quality of the Chicago River system, biodiversity, recreational opportunities, and public health, while decreasing flood damage, pollution, and the urban heat island effect. Not to mention the other co-benefits. Now, of course, these are just a part of the work that we do and some of the strategies that we employ in our ongoing effort to make the Chicago River system fishable and swimmable. As I said, our mission is to improve and protect the Chicago River, and our vision is that the Chicago River will be one of the world's greatest metropolitan rivers, and we hope that you will join us on our journey. I thank you for your time. I wish we could all be together, but if you have any questions, you can email me at mfrisbie@chicagoriver.org or find out more on our website at chicagoriver.org. And thank you very much for your time.